This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help filmmakers level up their businesses and their craft so they can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of the Level Up Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Taylor Petrinovich, and I am joined today by my co-host, Kelley Gilster. How are you today, Kelley?
I am great.
Great. I'm happy to hear that. We are actually in the middle of booking boot camp. If you're listening to this live, this is a live workshop that we are putting on this week, helping filmmakers honestly just align their businesses with the right clients so that we can fill our calendars with weddings that are really profitable, but also very creatively fulfilling, which is, I think, something that we are all hoping to do in our businesses. And so that's going to kind of be the topic of conversations today, is going to be this idea of business growth, striving for more in our businesses and filling our calendars. And what we kind of see a lot of filmmakers tending to do in their businesses time and time again. But before we get into the episode, we also just want to quickly address that the doors to our signature course and mastermind are open. They just opened this morning, and we do have a limited number of seats. So we would love to have any filmmakers who have been hoping to grow their businesses, scale to the next level, join us inside. And if you want to just kind of see what it's all about or see more information, you can go to the levelupco.com/luxury filmmaker framework, and it'll be linked in the show notes too. But so we're gonna dive into this episode, not waste any time. So Kelley has some notes here, so why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I really want to talk today about hitting a plateau in our business. It all happens. There's times in our businesses where we are feeling like we're seeing tons of growth, or we're having a huge year, that either in the quantity of weddings that we're shooting, maybe we got lined up with a really great team or a planner and we're shooting really great quality weddings. But then every once in a while, a plateau hits, right? We kind of become stagnant in our growth. And I kind of want to just dial this back as to why. Sometimes we don't always know why the plateau has occurred, but there are some really, actionable practices that Taylor and I are going to walk you through to make your business plateau proof. Taylor, where would you say that plateaus most often occur, or why are they occurring within our businesses?
Yes. So, I mean, I think it can be boiled down to one of my favorite phrases, which is, what has gotten you to where you are is not going to get you to where you want to go. So, I guess basically you've exhausted the growth that the changes in your business that you've already made have allowed for. And now you're going to have to switch things up again to get to that next level. And so one example I like to use is I actually shot on the Canon 80D for a really long time. The first 3 or 4 years of my business, it does not shoot 4K, guys. It is a prosumer camera for sure. And I feel like I scaled my business the best that I could, with that equipment. I got up to charging, I don't know, maybe $4,500. But then I just kind of realized okay, if I want to grow to this next level, my film quality is going to need to improve. I mean, honestly, among many other things, but it's just kind of you've gotten to where you can go with what you've got going on currently, is kind of how I see it.
Definitely. You kind of find you grow, right? You implement this business strategy per se. And then our growth mindset kind of sometimes begins to take over, right? We get a little bit cemented into our ways. I mean, Taylor, that was a really great, what you had just said. I knew when I had hit my max on these ADDs and I want to move into the next market, and that's going to require newer gear that offers higher quality so that I'm up to par on this level of the market, right? But the reality is that sometimes we can get scared with change. It's hard to make new changes in, either our workflows of things or the gear that we use. We get comfortable, we get a little bit complacent. And, if you're listening to this and you're starting to feel a little bit guilty because maybe you've been kind of fighting some changes in your business, just know that you're not alone. It is so easy we're creatures of habit, right? And falling into our habits is what really cements us in, not being able to grow.
Yes, no, that's so true. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and it was kind of the idea, like I love to listen to all kinds of podcasts, lifestyle, business, health and fitness, like all these different ones. And this particular one was talking about like working towards a goal, and they kind of like shaped it as like this visual of you're like climbing a mountain, and the top of the mountain is where you want to get to, and you have to put in a lot of work along the way to get to the top of the mountain, but like kind of halfway up we get a little bit tired or we get frustrated because we're not seeing immediate results. I think we just live in this world where we expect like Amazon Prime level of results, and it honestly just doesn't happen that quickly, especially in the wedding industry. There's just this like 18 to 24-month cycle that things follow, and so naturally things will take a little bit of time. But basically, like you get halfway up the mountain and you get frustrated, you get complacent, you start to kind of like fall back on your old habits and your old way of doing things, and you slide back all the way back down to the bottom. And now you're going to have to start all over again with putting in that work towards the top again. And that comes with falling into old habits. So let's say like you got really great, like you improved heavily like on your Instagram game, you were like putting a lot of like honestly a lot of care into everything you were posting, people like engaging with people, the right people, that could eventually lead to referrals, building those relationships, crafting your captions really beautifully. And you do that for 6 weeks, and then you get frustrated because you haven't booked a wedding from all of these efforts yet. And so you either disappear from Instagram altogether, or you just start posting like really quickly, just trying to go viral, looking for those like really quick hits of dopamine, honestly, instead of keeping like the long game of this bigger picture in play. And I do think like this idea of like impatience can kind of take over.
Yeah, impatience. And I think even then, this is where we start to, this is almost like point number two, I feel like, is this is when we start to self-sabotage, right? We've been putting in this work, we've been putting in, that time to building those relationships, say on social media or whatever it may be. And then we're not seeing those immediate growth. We're not seeing that immediate growth. So we begin to self-sabotage. And so in that regard, self-sabotage would look like, okay, I'm giving up on Instagram. This algorithm's not working for me. It feels like I'm spinning my wheels. And so I think it's so important as we close out this 2023 season and we enter into 2024 that the biggest thing that we can do in our business is to pinpoint where we are self-sabotaging.
Self-sabotaging is like such an interesting behavior that honestly, like I do think the majority of people experience, and it can happen for so many reasons. Like fear of failure is a big one. Like we're afraid to set bigger goals because what if we don't accomplish them? So fear of failure. Fear of success is another one that can lead to self-sabotage, which is kind of crazy, but I've actually been guilty of this one. Like you know that it's going to take a lot of work to get to the point where you want to go, and you're kind of fearful of all the work that you're going to have to put in, so you self-sabotage. Not seeing the results, like being impatient, will lead to self-sabotage. But another one, this is kind of like a sneaky self-sabotage that I think more people are guilty of this than would maybe care to admit. But self-sabotage can look like you know what your goal is and you know what you should be doing to get to it, and you're just not doing it.
Yes.
Like not because you can't afford it, not because you don't have the time, but you're just kind of like avoiding it. So and I feel like this is where having a really supportive like community really comes into play, when everyone in your inner circle that you're interacting with on a daily basis, when everyone is actually like putting in the work, they're doing the same things you know you should be doing. It's really encouraging, and you feel less alone in these like big actions that you have to be taking. And it can honestly like help reduce the chances that you're going to self-sabotage. And I feel like, so Kelley and I, like we could talk about this in terms of maybe like health and fitness or like dieting, right? Like I feel like that's like the like equivalent of like you ate really well all day, you ate like all the vegetables, drank all the water, and then at night you're gonna go eat a gallon of ice cream. Like, why did you self-sabotage?
Totally. And kind of going back to what you said, like you know, for someone that's listening and you know what your goals are, you know, you want to be able to someday charge 5 figures for a wedding. You want to start at that 5 figure number. You maybe want to know that you want to be the premier option in your local market, or you know that you want to be up there with the big dogs. You know that you're a talented filmmaker. You just don't really have the framework to know how to get there, right? And it just feels overwhelming to have to do it alone. And we get that. And that's honestly why we do what we do, right? That's why we created Luxury Filmmaker Framework. That's why we have a mastermind of like minded growth filmmakers that honestly, you know, it keeps us from those self-sabotaging thoughts in our business. And like Taylor was saying, like, I will even say this too. When I was in high school, right? I was, you know, I was more proficient in English than I was in math. And because of that, I was typically placed in like higher level English classes than math classes. And like maybe I'm in like your business math. Like this is why Taylor's like the numbers person in our business and I am not, right? So I'm in like business math over here. And I will say that my peers surrounded by me in that business math class was they weren't really go-getters, right? You know, but in my AP level English class, that being surrounded by, you know, people that are high achieving and have goals, you know, they have their college goals set out for them. They know that they're going to be taking the AP exam. There's like so many like milestones that they're ready to hit. It only like it only encourages you to rise to that level with them, right? Whereas when you're surrounded by, you know, when I was surrounded by, you know, the kids in that lower level math class that weren't really go-getters, they were just kind of there to put in the bare minimum. They just needed that like C to pass the class. I fell into that too, honestly. I could feel myself not just kind of maintaining, right? Rather than elevating. And so when we look at our businesses, ask yourself the question, are you simply maintaining or are you elevating? And a lot of times too, in that, you know, self-sabotage, it really stems from procrastination. And I want all of us to kind of think about what are the small steps that we can take to achieve our long-term goal, right? So a few little notes that I had kind of made would be knowing that you probably need to step it up and start wearing a suit at a wedding and you're pulling yourself back. My husband, Paul, fought me for years and years and years about wearing a suit. He's like, I'm too sweaty. This is too hot. This is uncomfortable. I need to move around and stretch. I'm an artist. I have to be on the ground. I have to be all around, reaching my hands up in the air. I'm not going to wear a suit. And it wasn't until I finally talked him into it. He wore a suit. I talked the story about all the time. He saw a glimpse of himself while I was editing the film and he's like, I look good. I should have been doing this years ago. And honestly, that is a small sacrifice, right? He has to wear it for what? 10 hours a day? Like for that day. It's just for that day. And it's a small sacrifice, but it it gets us to our long-term goal, right? And that could also look like putting in those early mornings or late nights to really refine your website. Maybe your website needs work and you're like, I have no time for this. You're putting in small sacrifices, maybe a week of early mornings and late nights for a website that's going to serve you for a few years. It could also look like maybe you're more of an introvert, right? And going to networking events is a little bit painful and you're a little bit scared about it, but getting yourself out of that comfort zone and knowing, okay, I'm going to put in this small sacrifice, right? You're sacrificing your comfort right there for that long-term, you know, that long-term success, which is going to that networking event. You might make some connections that are really going to catapult your business.
Yeah, so true. And like You don't have to make all these changes all at the same time and go from charging $3,000 to $20,000 like in a year. Like we can really I feel like that's overwhelming. Like people look at like their goal. So we all have big goals, right? Like I feel like if you're listening to a podcast, which you are, if you are seeking out information, which you are, if you are looking into education, which you are, that means you probably have big goals and you're not a kind of like complacent person where you just doing the bare minimum, right? Like I don't think that's like our audience and I don't think that's you, whoever's listening to this. And so you probably have a big goal and that big goal might be intimidating. I know my big goal is very intimidating, but what we can do is kind of work backwards and make really small shifts. So that's like honestly, so that's one of the superpowers of our course, Luxury Filmmaker Framework, is it has 9 modules. And basically the way growth works is you make all these small incremental changes, um, like I would say on a consistent basis, maybe we'll say monthly. So you're making these small changes monthly and you're growing a little bit at a time as you implement all these changes. And if you did one module a month and like implemented like what we teach in 9 months, your business is going to look completely different. You're going to have risen your business, your pricing, your reputation in your market, like all of these things will have risen. And guess what? By the time you rise to that point, you're going to be ready to grow a little bit again. And then you're going to start continuing to make tweaks, go back to the module, see where maybe you're lacking again. And it's just this like honestly this like constant reinvention of yourself, a constant be getting like I like to use like the phrase 1% better, although I will say our course will probably help you get a lot better than 1% better in all the areas. But it's like these small tweaks, these small shifts, these small changes that you make um incrementally that lead to your overall growth. But here's the thing, the time is going to pass. It is going to be October of 2025 sooner than we know it, which is 2 years from now. Think of where you could be in 2 years from now if you start changing today. If you start making those tiny shifts today and start working towards these smaller bite-sized goals that you have for yourself, like your entire business can look different. Like I know like for me, like 2 years for me looked like jumping from charging, between like $3,500 and $4,500 to charging well over $10,000. Like that's what 2 years did for me. And so that's what 2 years can do for I truly do think anybody, as long as you're willing to put in the work and have this growth mindset and not hold yourself back from your big goals. Like I think it's like one of the biggest tragedies is to like have this dream and know you could do it, like believe in yourself, but then never take action. I actually think that's very kind of sad.
Yeah, that can be so heartbreaking. And I hate to see filmmakers who have these big goals and literally there's so many small controllable actions that they could take or they're not taking or they should have taken. Maybe they gave up on that goal. And it was like if they would have just leaned into those controllable actions that could step their business into that next market, allow them to charge what they needed to charge to be able to do this full time, to provide for their family, to be able to curate the life that they really want, it can all be done. And I just see that these self-sabotage things, they creep in and it's so heartbreaking to see when I do talk to filmmakers and maybe it's that you took that leap of faith and you went full time, but now maybe you're feeling like it's not working anymore, you're spinning your wheels. Like I think this is why it's so important to know that we don't have to do this alone, right? We need to have accountability partners, accountability buddies, whatever it may be. Welcome those into your business so that we aren't so blinded by the areas where we could use improvement, right? And that's truly why I love our mastermind so much, or I just love these one-on-one coaching, Taylor, that we do, because it's so rewarding to see these light bulbs going off and see filmmakers that now are filming in Lake Como if that's where they want. We had a student that went and just filmed a beautiful wedding in Lake Como. Like that became a reality for him. We just had another mastermind student. They just booked, what was it, a $23,000 wedding?
$23,000 wedding. Y'all, our
It,
mastermind is only 12 weeks long. Like It does not have to take a long time to see results. Like you learn what you need to do, you put in the work, and I mean, honestly, like our students are seeing such amazing success. And it's one of those things where like you can't see the forest through the trees, right? Like you're in your business, you're staring at it every day. You're staring at your Instagram, your films, you are staring at your website. You're so in your business that it can be very hard to identify like the areas that need improving, your weakest points, or honestly like just learning that maybe you're always busy, maybe you're always doing things, but the things that you're busy doing are not what we would consider to be like needle movers in your business. Like you're putting the effort and the money into the wrong things that are not going to give you an ROI, a return on your investment, at the same level as other areas. Like, and that is very true. Like, I know for me, like I could be busy all day long, but like, what did I actually accomplish? Like, at the end of the day, probably not a whole lot. Or you can work really, really smart and focus on the things that are like high yield, like high ROI, and like your business will like look completely different in a year. Like, so we're kind of here to like navigate that with our students. And what is crazy is that we all run very individual businesses. We all have different strengths, different weaknesses. We're all at different points. And so mine and Kelley, like our favorite thing to do is like literally like dig our hands into your business and like help you work on it because it's such an individual thing. It's so unique to you. Like no one's business looks the same, but I would say that's like our superpower is like getting into people's businesses and like navigating it with them. Like through the tunnel and out the other side where it's like beautiful and profitable and there's longevity in business too.
Absolutely. And I loved what you said. Like, this, our mastermind is 12 weeks. That's 3 months. And this next mastermind that just opened up, there's a few seats left. It's 10 weeks because we want to get you guys out before Christmas and we want to get you out into before this new year so that you are equipped with everything that you need to be able to tackle 2024 with everything at your fingertips, this framework at your fingertips. Like Taylor said, maybe you're pouring money or not money, maybe ads, which I'll be honest, we don't, in our course, we talk about ads aren't really going to do much for you. But it's, where are you pouring your time investments into, where you're not getting that ROI. And so I don't know, the luxury market just operates so differently. And I want anyone who's listening to maybe, traveling around the world is not what you need. Maybe this time of life that you're in, you need to stay local with either your family or whatever your life looks like now, whatever the season that you're in. The same principles apply in the luxury market as it does for you rising to the top and becoming the premier choice in your local market, right? Being able to charge top tier pricing, right? And so all the same principles apply. And so whether you're one or the other, whatever your goals are, this is really, really going to help you. And we truly, truly believe in that. I'm so genuine and passionate about our course, about, mastermind, about our 6-month coaching program. It's really cool. I loved our founding members that joined on for this over the summer, and being able to see the goals that they're reaching is really inspiring. And I think that that's where it's like the proof is in the pudding. Like this really works for people. Like this is going to work for you.
Yes, it does work. Like it has been like duplicated like over and over. And I will say, so this next mastermind group will be 10 weeks, but we're still doing 12 lives. So you get the same amount of meetings, the same amount of instruction, the same amount of Q&A. We just condensed it into 10 weeks, like Kelley said, to get you out before Christmas time so we can kind of rest and get ready for like entering the new year. But I would also say that this is kind of like another shape that self-sabotaging can look. Like you've been a listener to our podcast, we talk about, the results we have gotten other filmmakers, that this course and this mastermind like do yield results. Like they truly are very great, like pretty great. And we're very proud of what we've created. And we're really excited about all the change in like countless filmmakers' businesses that we've seen so far and will continue to see as we continue to release this into the world. But I feel like self-sabotage can look like, that this course would make a huge difference in your business, but you maybe feel stubborn, like you don't want to join and you think you could just figure it out yourself. So we actually had Julia and Sebastian of Flame Films, they took our course and they left a really beautiful testimonial, which was so sweet. But in that, they said literally, like, this would have taken us so many years to figure out on our own, and we could literally consume it within a day, like the course itself. And they have implemented changes and are already seeing like such amazing results. I follow them on Instagram, and I did already follow them on Instagram before I knew that they like took our course and everything, and they're creating like amazing, beautiful work. I know they filmed like love story films, like when they were over in Europe, like they did their vow renewal, and they're just doing some great stuff. And I felt like they hit the nail on the head, where it was like, you could figure out yourself, but like, think about the like price of that. Like you're potentially missing out on like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you want to take the years and years and years of like trial and error and figuring it out. Or you could just like literally have all the answers today.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, think of the cost of, it's like literally costing you money to not understand what this framework is, to not be able to double your prices by next year, to not be able to fill your calendar, book out every single year, not only with the quantity of weddings that you need, but the quality of weddings that you want. And so, I'm so excited for, those who are already in our mastermind group, for those who are, kind of going the self-paced route. Really quickly, Taylor, do you want to kind of break down the different levels of our offerings just so people kind of
Yes.
understand?
Yes. So Luxury Filmmaker Framework is our 9-module video course. This is pre-recorded. It is hosted online. You consume it at your own pace. Like literally you could knock it out in a day if you wanted to, and then revisit the modules like as you go, or you could be self-paced with it. And then the middle tier is our mastermind. So you get access to the framework, you get access to the course, but in this round, you will also join us for 10 weeks of mastermind. This is an intimate mastermind. This is not where we're having like 150 filmmakers in there. Like that is not it at all. It is very small, very condensed, so much time for one-on-one like questions and answers and us to like look at your business. And we will do 12 lives. We are bringing in 2 guest speakers this round. We are bringing in Peyton Frank and Brooke Keegan, both on the Harper's Bazaar best of lists in their respective fields. So it's going to be really great. And I feel like Luxury Filmmaker Framework, the course itself, is like the spark that people need to get them going. And then the mastermind is literally pouring gasoline on that spark and having it get huge so much faster, right? So that's like the accelerated route. But then we also have one more tier, which is our VIP, and that is an extended 6-month program where you get access to the mastermind. You're in the mastermind with us. You get the course, you get Luxury Filmmaker Frameworks to go at your own pace, but you also get a 6-month one-on-one coaching. Well, I guess it's 2-on-1 technically, because you get me and Kelley. But it's 6
Yeah.
months of one-on-one. We get 5 like one-on-one Zoom calls, and then a full in-person day of I would say like coaching, mentoring, looking at it at your business. It's like 8 hours. We're going to cover your meals. We're going to go to breakfast. We're going to go to lunch. We're going to go to dinner, and just spend a full day focusing on your business in person, which is really, really exciting. And I think we actually like are not aware of any other educators in the filmmaking space that do something like this. So I think it's pretty special for people who want that very hands-on extended mentorship with us.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just so excited to get going again. Immediately when our first round of mastermind ended, I was just sad. Like we became such a family, and we are continuing also to be a family. But it was such a great experience. We love those founding group of filmmakers, but we cannot wait to it's almost like the first day of school all over again, right? It's like, I feel like we're teachers getting prepared for the first day of school, and a whole new group of great students to walk into our classroom and really make big dreams come true. And I truly, truly, if you're listening to this and you are frustrated with where your business is, or you want to see the full potential that your business can reach, we would love to see you inside of Framework or Mastermind, because we can get you there. And again, it's not leaps and bounds or years and years. It's weeks, right? It's weeks to implement these changes and begin to see, real results.
Yeah, so true. And then if you guys are still listening, which thank you if you still are, I just want to talk really quickly because this is very exciting also. If you sign up before Thursday, October 12th at midnight Pacific time, so you get all the way till 3 a.m. on Friday if you're Eastern, you will also get over $2,500 worth of bonuses. And I think one of the most exciting bonuses that we have to offer is a full behind the scenes film of Kelley shooting an incredible luxury wedding. You get to see how she enters the day, how she is interacting with the creative partners, how she approaches filmmaking, how she approaches client experience, and everything in between. Honestly, like, it is such an incredible behind the scenes film and look at what goes into executing a luxury wedding, that I think will really open a lot of people's eyes. If you've never had the opportunity to work at this level, like, you really get a peek behind the curtain at what goes into it, and it's very powerful. But there's a bunch of other bonuses as well, but that's the one that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, that was so fun to be a part of, and just be in my element. And I'm excited for that to be an incredible bonus among so many other amazing bonuses. Again, Taylor, I'm so happy to do this for the filmmaking community. And yeah, I just want to see no more self-sabotaging, real growth in 2024 from this community. And we believe in you. If you're listening to this, we know that you have big goals, and know that we believe in you and that we are your cheerleaders along the way. And if you're in our mastermind, there might be a little bit of tough love too. There's some times where we kind of get on our students to, come through on their goals. So we are kicking that self-sabotage aside, and we are making sure that you are implementing this so that you can see, these goals come to life.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is that literally starting now, October of 2023, this can be like the first domino in a long chain of events that leads you to having an incredible business. Like, you haven't toppled over that first domino quite yet, but this can be the moment that you push it over, and then this chain of events unfolds and brings you to a place where you never knew your business could go. And that's the most exciting part of all. So we hope to see all of you guys inside Luxury Filmmaker Framework or Mastermind. We really, really do hope that you hop in on this opportunity. It'll be another 6 months before we open the doors again. And again, like, what's the opportunity cost? Like, you could start making changes today, right at booking season, guys. Like, couples are booking out their their weddings for 2024. They're looking for creative partners now, and heading into like January, February, at least for me, that's like peak booking time. And if you could get in now, make all these changes to your branding, to how you approach business, right in time for that booking, like, I don't know, like, what's a good like metaphor? Like, it's like
Wave.
a booking avalanche. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
to hit you, like, you could ride that wave in 2024 and already get much better events than you are getting in 2023 or in previous years. So I think the timing is incredible. I think the timing is perfect. It couldn't be better, in my opinion. And we can't wait to see your business change. Thank you for joining us in this conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us reach more filmmakers just like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it on social media. Don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.